Welcome to the Spectre Review Roundup video. In this video, I will go over each Spectre very briefly and suggest reworks or buffs to make them more useful. We begin with the Roller Spectre, and I gave it a low rating due to poor survivability and little utility. For this Spectre, I suggest a major rework that entails removing the roller, but not entirely. With the introduction of Rathum, we got Executioner Reth, who deployed traps as well as deployable roller sentries that would move to get close to their enemies. This is kind of what I suggest. Give Steel Meridian a Seeker or a Corrupted Seeker with no Eximus abilities, and the ability to toss out heavily armored roller turrets. These turrets cannot heal themselves normally and do low damage, but the combination of these Spectres would be very useful as well as being unique, similar to the Corrupted Bombard Spectre, which also has 2 units. Next, we take a look at the Corrupted Lancer. Although fine on his own, he can get swarmed pretty fast and offers only mild support. A simple change would be to replace the Spectre into a Leech Shield Lancer instead, who can bash enemies to the ground who get close, but still provide itself with some health regen. Of course, to cover this, Shield Lancers have a bit less health than a Corrupted Lancer would, so it would balance out, lowering survivability a bit while boosting utility and defense. With the Shield Osprey Spectre, my only suggestion is to change its AI patterns and how it behaves when told to wait. With the addition of the Octavius Anthem update, mind-controlled shield drones will stick to and follow the player who mind-controlled them, making them significantly more useful, while the Shield Ospreys did not. So my change involves them following the player closely unless told to wait, in which case they will either stay in that spot and fire their little lasers, or seek out high-value targets like defense objectives or another Spectre and stick to them instead. A simple change that is really needed in my opinion. Next, we look at the Moa Spectre from the Perrin Sequence Syndicate. I gave this Spectre a fairly average rating, mostly due to its low survivability and little utility. My suggested change is to simply change the Eximus type from Blitz to Guardian, so its own shields and nearby ally shields recharge faster. Since players normally go with either the first 3 or the last 3 syndicates, this would allow both sets of players to have a shield recharging Spectre, as well as the fact that it would improve the survivability of the MOA itself. For the Charger Spectre from Red Veil, the issue is there's no Eximus for the Charger besides Energy Leech in the game, so my suggestion is to throw out the Charger entirely in exchange for a non-Eximus infested boiler. This boiler would have custom infested spawn pods that would launch out every so often when it is hit or damaged, maybe limited to 1 pod every 5 seconds or something, which would spawn light infested units at 1/3 the level of the boiler. This would keep with the infested theme that the Red Veil apparently has for its Spectres, without making it too overpowered, as the boiler will mostly act as a high enemy distraction Spectre. And finally, for the last Syndicate Spectre, we turn to the Ancient Healer. While I feel it still should be a healer, I feel its Eximus version should be changed to a Venomous Ancient, which would heavily reduce toxin and gas damage dealt to itself and nearby allies, as well as granting players a small amount of toxin damage to their attacks. It should be noted that allied Ancients, mind-controlled or through Cyanoid Heliocore Spectres, do not give bonus elemental damage to allies, but will reduce overall damage or a specific damage type, but I do feel it should add damage to attacks since it does for infested enemies. For Clem, I largely feel he is fine, although I do suggest a fun little quirk involving his Latcher pal on his back. Every so often, about as often as Lancers toss grenades, Clem will toss the invincible Lancer off his back and the Latcher will roll around and jump at enemies, distracting them but never latching on for a short time. Then after a while, the roller will essentially target Clem and jump on him to return to his back. This would give him a bit more crowd control as well as overall silliness that I'm sure the community would enjoy as a whole, as Clem was largely forgotten. For the Corrupted Bombard, I feel he is the perfect combination. In fact, I praise the Spectre as one of the best in the game because it has good survivability, good damage, good defense, and good utility all rolled into one. However, it can be noted that the Spectre does have a shield capacity, but it only recharges when the Orkan drone dies then respawns, or sometimes in other rare instances. The only change that I suggest is to allow the drone to actually recharge the shield amount but this is more of a bug fix than a buff, as this should already happen. And for clarification, Tenno Specters are fine as they are, since they can use the best guns in the game and use the best defensive frames in the game as well. And with that note, we have made an official close to the Spectre review series, at least until another Spectre is released. If you liked the video, you might like to watch the entire Spectre review playlist where I go over each Spectre individually, or you may like my Xiphos turret review, which is a similar kind of video. In any case, thanks for watching.